Analog horror is a really cool concept. It's not a horror film or a show, but it's not exactly a video game either. It usually takes the form of an old format, like VHS, which, for those of you not born in the early 2000s or late 90s, was what came before DVDs, and is surrounded around the idea of a haunted VHS tape, where the footage on the tape is haunted. I know, spooky, right? Ideas like this aren't uncommon in the mainstream media with films like The Ring and Sinister. The subgenre of these movies is called found footage. But it's worth noting that there are actually two versions of found footage. You have your traditional found footage, and then you have ARG found footage. ARG stands for Alternate Reality Game, for those uninformed, and often uses transmedia techniques. Traditional found footage is more mainstream with things like the Blair Witch Project, As Above, As Below, and the Wreck series, The First Cloverfield, and Grave Encounters, all being examples of traditional found footage. While ARG type found footage is things like the Mandela Catalogue, Petscop, Gemini Home Entertainment, and the original Backrooms. I bet you're asking, what's the difference? Well, your traditional found footage fits into the basic film format, where it's around 95 to 150 minutes in length and features a simple old VHS tape's journey from start to end. This is usually composed of many one-takes and features 2006 levels of YouTube vlogging, while ARG type found footage, dubbed analog horror, fits the full story of the VHS tape from being found, followed by a brief explanation of the context. While traditional found footage is in a movie format, analog horror acts more like a series, normally around 2 minutes in length. The subgenres do have things in similar, however. They are normally horrors and usually have a satanic twist.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Dude! Fuck!
Gemini Home Entertainment focuses around the moon, I think, and Cloverfield focuses on a kaiju-type creature wrecking all of Manhattan. Now, I'm not saying there's a black and white concept here. Some movies fall into analog horror regions, like Sinister, for example, where they show VHS tapes being found, which start normal and then quickly go downhill. Analog horror got its start in the early 2000s with creepypastas and Gary's Mod. That is not something I expected to say in the same sentence ever. Analog horror isn't necessarily restricted to films. You can have analog horror games.
My sperm on it. She'll be back after just one bite of this fucking behemoth of a burger.
The most commonly seen is Petscop, which features a fake game containing a hidden story. Or you have real analog horror games like Amanda the Adventure, Andy's Apple Farm, and Shipwrecked 64. Or you can have analog horrors of pre-existing franchises. One example of these is the FNAF VHS tapes. This brings me to the focus of today's video, the Jurassic Park Analog Horrors.
All credits to my message creators. Please go watch them after watching this week's down below.
In realm of style, these fall more under the wing of the Mandela Catalogue.
Oh wait, why am I even here? I can literally just leave.
With things like found footage and other versions of transmedia techniques being used, with phone calls and newspaper cutouts being used. There isn't a set series for them, however, but instead multiple series that could be connected or can simply be enjoyed on their own. And there is a lot of them. There is, oh my god, why? Stop! The films have always been mid when it comes to horror. That doesn't mean they're bad movies, it's just they're simply not scary. The book is absolutely terrifying, with the most famous examples I can think of being the baby crib scene. The analog horrors here seem to follow both a combination of the book and movie material. For example, the portrayal of dinosaurs here seems to be closer to the books, where the dinosaurs are portrayed as genetically engineered monsters who are nocturnal. It also doesn't show InGen in such a good light like the first movie does, but instead keeps them closer to the more secretive and cheaper portrayal. While more movie material is Robert Muldoon, who actually dies in the movie but doesn't die in the book, and his death is heavily focused on during some of the VHS tapes. Now, I've seen a lot of analog horrors of Jurassic Park, but there's a lot of Jurassic Park analog horrors out there, and a lot of different series. Now, I can't cover all of them in one video, so instead I'm going to cover 4 main series.
Rustico,
The InGen tapes, CD Jurassic, and
the InGen files.
Don't skimp on my umbrellas. You know what they say? Let a smile be your umbrella. Well, my face is a big letter T.
The first episode starts off normal, with it obviously being a security tape either for tourists or security, where it explains how to deal with different types of animals, starting off with herbivores, where it explains how to handle a triceratops. But when it gets to carnivores,
like Joker.
okay, I'm not gonna lie, that got a jump out of me. The video then ends with a repeating message saying to not watch the tape.
Viewing of this tape is prohibited. Discard it immediately.
Ha! Nice try, Fed. The video freakout seems to focus on Robert Muldoon, who, as we all know, gets eaten in the first film, but he shows up more in the second video, Velociraptor Escape. It starts with a Zoom phone call of an employee alerting control that a raptor escaped before being game ended. Silly employee, don't you know you need to keep raptors' comfort above 80%? After the employee is game ended, the video starts to glitch out with some face randomly appearing. We see a broken cage and a random T-Rex encounter, promptly followed by a message saying back to the raptors. Either this is a message from the editor or the uploader is mentally insane. We then get back to a normal security tape. The tape talks about how fast raptors can run before promptly telling Robert to start running.
They are faster than you, Robert. So start running.
Hey, I bet that was a funny prank to be told around the water cooler. The next and final tape in the series is Spinosaurus Ambush, and unlike the other 2 tapes, this one is set on Site B, which, as we all know, has way less security than Isla Nublar. The tape briefly talks about the Stegosauruses and how they should be kept away from loud noises and flashing lights, probably because they're neurodivergent. The tape then cuts to someone locked in a lab where they explain to someone, who I think is Dr. Wu, that a dinosaur with a long snout and fin has followed them into the building.
No. Wait.
Don't ask me how a Spinosaurus can fit inside. I didn't make the video, okay? Although some comment detectives do swoop in to save the day. We then get a live feed of the animal moving through the building while Dr. Wu explains the survivor is fucked and should make peace with his gods. And I don't know why, but the creator decided to use the FNAF 3 map. After the employee is game ended, we get an explanation that during the day, the dinosaurs are pretty chill, but at night, one of them becomes a bit bloodthirsty. The tape explains that after nightfall, the paddocks are locked, meaning you can't leave, and probably because the Spino has admin privileges. The tape explains that after nightfall, all the paddocks become locked, meaning you can't leave, and because the Spinosaurus obviously has admin privileges, it can sense where you are. Another glitch later, it's revealed that Spino is actually sentient and hates being treated like a monster, and decides it's time for a villain arc.
Well, dinosaurs are calm and pretty tame with the workers. Although at night one of them isn't himself. We make sure after hours that nobody is left around his paddock. And if you are still in there after 12 a.m. the doors will be locked. That's when he becomes hostile. Don't bother trying to hide. He hears and smells you no matter where you are. And when he finds you, you better hope we fed him enough fit.
A police investigation is revealed to be underway, with Henry Wu being suspected as the main culprit. I mean, he kind of is, since he wouldn't open the door. It's worth noting that, as of writing the script, the creator said that episode 4 is on the way, so fuck me, I've got to keep going. next series is the InGen tapes. The first video, simply titled Dennis Todd, repeats that Dennis Todd was found dead in a warehouse.
Dennis Todd was found dead in his security office in warehouse 13.
The next video, titled Hostile Encounters, shows a safety video on what to do when a hostile asset is nearby or out of containment. Then we are shown someone who didn't see the presentation and was mauled to death, with the person behind the camera stating, "I can't get her screams out of my head." The third tape, titled Tropical Storm Warning, begins with a normal 90s advert, which cuts to a weather warning telling all guests they must return to the visitors centre, which is really different than all the other previous videos, since here we're actually given evidence that for a short time Jurassic Park was able to open and support a limited number of guests, with all previous videos either being set on Site B, where the public is never meant to go, or Isla Nublar way before the park is ready to open. The video then goes on to state that even though 2,000 guests were evacuated, 2 of them still died, with others being injured, and during the chaos 7 different assets were able to escape and wander around the park, with only 3 being recovered. The casualties are Clyde and Amber Jones, who were found dead on the outskirts of the park, with a camera being found in their possession, with only 1 photo being recovered. The next tape is called Relocation, and begins with a McDonald's ad, which is quickly cut off. Ha! Take that, copyright law. A glitchy voice then tells us the tape we are watching was never meant to be seen by the public. Do we even need to be told at this point? The tape then focuses on the idea of all high-risk assets being returned to Site B. It then tells us that Site B will remain undocumented and, if things go well, shall remain that way. We aren't moving set species, but instead specific animals. We know that in the films, particular animals have high levels of intelligence, like the Alpha Raptor or the Spinosaurus. So perhaps intelligent and hard to contain assets are being moved off-site for better containment, because they can't be killed due to how expensive they are. We get a grainy look at 3 of the assets, but one of them actually doesn't have a photo. The video then cuts to a message where the company is called Liars, with them being described as a kingdom of lies, saying that they brought back the dead and something else. InGen is often labelled as the company of death, with one of the main characters in The Lost World famously labelling them as it. The final tape is labelled as advised, with the tape starting with a warning saying that the assets have come down with strange symptoms. The first asset to come down with the illness was Asset 87, which was one of the dinosaurs moved back to Site B, and much like 2018 Ninja, has racked up a kill count with at least 56 assets being lost to it. The tape then gives a list of symptoms to look out for. It lists bloodshot eyes, lack of hunger, coughing up blood, and aggression as symptoms. So unfortunately for the staff, it would appear the assets have gotten into cocaine. After this, the tape talks about how humans could get infected, and we're shown a list of people who died to an asset, with our boy Dennis Todd making an appearance.
I miss my wife, I miss my wife, I miss my wife, I miss my wife, I miss my wife.
The InGen Files is the third series we will go over. The first video, titled The Lagoon, features a recording of multiple things. One is an advertisement of park activities with things like tours throughout the science centres. We then get an explanation on the Pteranodon Dome, where we are told one of the employees did not die. And with this information given, it's very clear to me that Jurassic Park isn't set off the coast of Costa Rica, but instead Tiaman's. We then get a Zoom call between Hammond and an employee where they talk about how easily the Spinosaurus could escape its paddock and enter the lagoon. Something which Hammond doesn't seem to care about and is saying the fence would hold even though he knows it won't. Lol. The tape then glitches, repeating there's nothing in the water, apart from brain-eating amoebas of course. The video then starts repeating stay out of the water before ending. The next video is motion detected, and it shows an employee with a really weak grasp of grammar.
I will let you know if the camera detects any motion in the area. Man, this camera is super choppy.
As he keeps a lookout for an escaped Carno, he's left on his own as he just complains until he's attacked by either a Spinosaurus or a Carno. The next video, titled Casualty Case _1, is an informational video about how to deal with Carno and how any herbivore kept near its enclosure must be watched 24/7 because if not, the Carno will eat it. As the video continues, it slowly drops the safe informational facade and shows a story on how an employee was killed by the Carno before.
Fine! Do you know what happened? Your friend got into one of the cages and the dinosaur stepped on him.
Volcano seems to slip in and out of its awareness and asks if we are alone before then saying it killed our friends. It seems to be gaining some level of awareness as its free will is trying to break through. Either that or it's just breaking the fourth wall. The next tape, camera testing, is honestly so boring. It's 1 minute of footage where the only interesting fact is that a dinosaur doesn't like being on camera and has human eyes. The second to last video is better, however. It's titled Mosasaurus Incident, because apparently Jurassic Park has a kill count to rival
Insert funny line here.
The video warns us not to venture too far away from the wall while cleaning the tank. Why they just wouldn't remove the fucking fish whilst cleaning is never answered, and the explanation is probably that they were simply too cheap to do so. We are then shown body cam footage of a diver going deeper and deeper into the lagoon until... Note how the animal again has human eyes, something that all dinosaurs in the series have in common. Asset transportation is the final InGen tape, and shows the process of how dinosaurs are transported. I like how the video sounds as if there you're going to use a goat as bait, but when broken down it actually says you're the bait.
To lure it in, we will use you, a goat.
The process goes just as well as you'd think. And well, that's it for the InGen files.
Release me! Release me!
Next up is CD Jurassic, which I'm certain has no connection to the others apart from the fact that the animals here exhibit the same aggression found in the other 3 series. But they can't be connected because the rest of the footage is completely different to the series. I ain't got a clue, man. Why are you asking me? The first video, titled InGen Victims, shows a casualty report of people who have died on the island, with the tape showing what damage was done to people. InGen Sector 29 is the second video in the series and focuses on the fact that an unidentified number of velociraptors have appeared on Site B. We are then warned that friendly fire is possible because ACU have been deployed to hunt down the raptors, and anyone in the sector might be mistaken for one. Clearly, this is a gameplay review of Rainbow Six Siege.
Stop fucking shooting me! What the fuck is wrong with you?
There was a misinput! Calm down! You calm the fuck down! There was a misinput!
The third video, titled Hammond Reassurance Tape, is the longest video in the series, coming at 11 minutes and focuses on quite a few different things. You start off with an advertisement for Jurassic Park, and then you go to a repair team trying to fix a T-Rex feeder, but I honestly can't make head to toe of it. Honestly, this entire series I can't make head to toe of. There's also another video, but it's all in Mandarin and just ends with a mosasaur destroying a boat. To be honest, I think this one's set in an entire different universe. The last video I'm going to talk about is a Blender animation, which focuses on what happened in San Diego while the T-Rex was on the loose. Now, I might continue talking about these in the future, because there's definitely a rabbit hole here that I can explore. But for now, that's about it, so, as always, till next time.